Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. So we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation. Chapter number 3, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Text number 29. Janma guhyam bhagavato ya etat prayato naraha sayam pratar brunan bhaktya dukkha grama dimochyate. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead has declared that anyone who knows the principles of the transcendental birth and activities of the Lord will go back to Godhead after being relieved from this material tabernacle. So simply knowing factually the mysterious way of the Lord's incarnation in this material world can liberate one from material bondage. Therefore, the birth and activities of the Lord, as manifested by him for the welfare of the people in general, are not ordinary. They are mysterious, and only by those who carefully try to go deep into the matter by spiritual devotion is the mystery discovered. Thus, one gets liberation from material bondage. It is advised, therefore, that one who simply recites this chapter of Bhagavatam, describing the appearance of the Lord in different incarnations, in sincerity and devotion, can have insight into the birth and activities of the Lord. The very word vimukti, or liberation, indicates that the Lord's birth and activities are all transcendental. Otherwise, simply by reciting them, one could not attain liberation. They are therefore mysterious, and those who do not follow the prescribed regulations of devotional service are not entitled to enter into the mysteries of his births and activities. Translation once again. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. It's good to be back after a long time. I hope you all have not forgotten the previous verses from this chapter where we learned about the different incarnations of Krishna in detail. And now we are continuing. And we see in today's verse, Krishna is giving us the knowledge about the formula to remove miseries. Now one may question, what is the need to give the formula to remove miseries? It's because we are in this material world, which is Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. It is a place of misery. Krishna knows that anyone who goes to the material world has to face misery, 7 kinds of miseries. So here, he's giving us the formula to remove those miseries. You know, when the father sees that the child is suffering, then the father gives solutions to the problems of the child. Will give advice and say, okay, if you do this, then this is how you will benefit. But ultimately, it's up to the child whether the child wants to listen to the father or not. So here, Father, Supreme Father Krishna, he is so merciful that he's giving us a formula, telling us, okay, you follow this and you will be able to remove miseries. And the verse says that anyone who recites this chapter, about the incarnations of Krishna twice daily, morning and evening, they will remove miseries. Do you think it's that simple? No. It's not that we open Bhagavatam and we read this chapter in the morning and in the evening and wow, I'm liberated. No, it doesn't work that way. We need to read, plus we need to understand. And Srila Prabhupada has given us the purport to help us to understand. It's not just that we understand that, oh, how did Krishna appear? He appeared in Mathura in a jail and etc., etc. No. We need to understand the principles of Krishna's appearance and activities. Srila Prabhupada talks about the verse from Bhagavad Gita in his purport, and that verse is Janma Karma Chame Devyam Evam Yo Veti Tatvata Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Neti Mameti Su Arjuna. So Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities will not take birth again after giving up this body. So this is what he's saying. Understand it, because we, being in this material world, in this material body, we are conditioned to think on the material platform. So just like some people think that Krishna is an ordinary person who came 5,000 years ago. No one knows from where, and no one knows where he went. He was just an ordinary, famous personality. No, he is Divyam. Divyam means transcendental. He's not ordinary. Now, to really understand this, one needs, first of all, knowledge, which we are taking. Then we need guidance from a bona fide spiritual master, and we need training. So anything we want to learn in this material world, whether it is music, dancing, software, or whatever it may be, we definitely need knowledge. We need a teacher, and we need to be trained. Only then we will become proficient in whatever we are trying to do. So just knowing or just having the knowledge is not good enough. We need to have the understanding, understand the mysterious ways of Krishna's appearances, his incarnations, and what is the purpose behind these incarnations. It's not that, Krishna decides, oh, today I want to, come down in this incarnation. No, there's a purpose behind, there's a reason behind his incarnations. And for us to understand all this, the appearance and the activities, the mysterious ways of his incarnations, we definitely need the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Without these two, it is not possible to understand. Yes, we may get the book knowledge, just like in our schools and colleges, we can read the books and get the knowledge, but there will be no understanding. That understanding will come only by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Excuse me. So what is it that we need to do to understand? It's very simple. Srila Prabhupada has given us the process. The first point is that we need to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. Excuse me. And how do we chant? We chant attentively, which means we don't do anything else while we are chanting, surfing the internet, texting on the phone. No, nothing else we do while we chant. Pay attention to hearing what we are chanting, following the 4 regulative principles very strictly, associating with devotees, serving. Then Guru and Krishna are pleased, and then they give the mercy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna Tesham satatayutanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. Buddhi means intelligence. He will give us the intelligence to understand him and his incarnations only when we worship him with love and devotion. These are the two ingredients required. So here, if you notice the very last sentence of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that it is important to follow the prescribed regulations of devotional service. Prescribed, very important word. We cannot perform devotional service according to what we like to do. It's not, we are just like I'm recovering from the flu. I cannot take medicine on my own. I have to get a prescription. Of course, doctor will say that there is no medicine for flu. It's the, viral, it'll come and go and takes its course. But still, say if I have a disease, I have to get a prescription from the doctor. I cannot just, do inamina minamo and then pick one medicine and take it. No. Prescription is important. Similarly, in spiritual life, prescription is very important. That's why Srila Prabhupada says prescribed regulations of devotional service. So when Krishna came down 540 years ago as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave us the prescription again. He did not say you can chant whatever you like. He did not say you can chant as many times as you like. No, he made it very clear that in Kali Yuga, Kalautad Hari Kirtanat, in Kali Yuga, the only process for liberation, the only process for self-realization is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is a prescribed regulation of devotional service. And then there are 4 regulative principles that we need to follow strictly. So these are the prescriptions. We cannot whimsically follow whatever we like to follow or what we have been following or what we have been asked to follow. We have to follow what comes down in strict disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam imam rajyasya viduhu. Krishna tells Arjuna that this knowledge has to be received in strict disciplic succession. So, for us to be able to understand Krishna, his activities and his appearance, Krishna is going to see our sincerity. How sincere are we? Now, this word sincere, what does it exactly mean? How do we understand it? Yes, we can Google it and see, what does sincerity mean? But in spirituality, it means that we are strictly following the instructions of the Supreme Lord. So he's seeing our sincerity and seriousness in devotional service. And when he sees our love and devotion, that is what counts. And that is what makes him give us his mercy, and then we are able to solve this mystery. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna requested Krishna to show him the universal form. Now, to give proof who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that everything is within him, everything comes from him. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam. So Krishna is, after theory, he's showing practical that yes, I am the Supreme Lord. Everything comes from me. Everything is within me. Why did Arjuna ask that question? So that anyone who claims to be God should be able to show the universal form. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, in one of these verses, today I'm covering from 29 to 37, he mentions that the devotees are not interested in the universal form. They are only interested in the two-handed Shyam Sundar form of the Supreme Lord, and that is what Krishna also wants his devotees to worship. Why? Because the universal form is imaginary. In other words, it is just to show everyone who is not a devotee of the Lord that Krishna is the cause of all causes. Everyone and everything comes from him. Many do not even believe in God. They do not even believe that God has a form, even though the scriptures clearly mention. In fact, the very first verse of Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form, that Krishna, you have a form. And what kind is it? Satchidananda. It is Sat, Chit, Anand. It is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. That is his transcendental form. So those who are less intelligent, for them universal form is shown so that they can try to, understand Krishna and try to think that, okay, Krishna has a form. Now we all know that Krishna doesn't have a material form. He has a transcendental Satchidananda Vigraha form, fully transcendental. So Srila Prabhupada says that this universal form is not part of incarnations of Krishna. This chapter, which is entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations, important to understand the universal form is not part of the incarnations. Why? Because incarnations are not material forms. Universal form is. And of course, we learn more about this in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But Krishna is present in the material forms also. He is present within us. We have a material body, and he is present within us also as the super soul or Paramatma. But he is not material. Our form is material. Just like our body is material, but we are not material. Our soul is spiritual. It is spirit soul. You see? So only the body is material, but Krishna's body is transcendental. Nice analogy is given by Srila Prabhupada in one of the purports. He says that just like, we see the clouds in the sky and then we see the dust carried by the air. So the less intelligent people will think that the sky is cloudy. No, it's just the clouds. Sky is not affected. Sky is not cloudy. And they say the air is dirty. No, it doesn't affect the air. This is because of the faulty vision, no knowledge. Just like if I wear glasses which have red tinted lenses, I'm going to see everything red. It doesn't matter who's wearing what color. Everything will appear red to me. So similarly, if we have, Shastra Chakshu, if we put on the glasses of scriptures, of the Shastras, then we will be able to see clearly. Shastras explain to us very clearly what is right, what is wrong, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, our eyes, our senses, they are all material. We cannot see properly. We have faulty vision, but no problem. The scriptures give us the lenses by which we can see. We can see Krishna. For that, we need spiritual vision. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. We need that Prema Anjana, that kajal of prema, of love. When we anoint our eyes with love for Krishna, then we will be able to see Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says we cannot even see our soul within our heart. Right? We cannot see it. So how do we know that there is soul in the body? Consciousness. That is a symptom of the soul. So as soon as we see someone, we identify with the body. Excuse me. We say, oh, this is a big body, small body, whatever it is, we start identifying with the body, looking at the outward covering, but we forget the soul which is inside the body. And we also forget that Krishna is present in that body too. Of course, some try to see God with material eyes. One time someone approached Srila Prabhupada and said, show me God. Prabhupada said, why should I show you God? You're not even qualified. We got to qualify ourselves. So those who try to see God with material eyes, they are advised to meditate on the universal form of the Lord, which is not an incarnation. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives an analogy. to understand this. He says, say a president's car is going, is driving by our area. We see the president's car go by. We say, there is the president. Is that car the president? No. We are identifying the president with the car. Just because we see the car going, we say that is the president. So those who want to see God immediately, Krishna shows them the universal form, which is material. It is not transcendental. So in this chapter, we are also learning what we've already learned in the Bhagavad Gita, that we are not this body. Why is it's being repeated? It's because we forget. How many of us on a daily basis remember, I am not this body? We don't, because we don't have the time. We are so busy in working round the clock, the time we get up, oh, I have to do this and that and breakfast and shower and this and that. By the time it's nighttime, it's time to go to bed. So because we are conditioned that, I am this body, I'm this body, we've forgotten about the subtle body, which is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. We of course cannot see the subtle body. We have only heard about it. So it becomes difficult for us to differentiate between the body, the soul, and the subtle body. But we all have heard from Bhagavad Gita that as soon as the soul leaves the body becomes useless. The soul, the super soul, and the subtle body, they go on to the next body, which means there is repeated birth and death. And that is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain to us, that we need to break this cycle of birth and death. I don't know how many of you have heard about this scientist from Norway, Harry Monson. He did research and found out that once the soul leaves the body, the dead body, what is the value of that body? Based on whatever leftover chemicals there might be inside. $5.60. Can you imagine? This body is $5.60. Anyone can buy it, but who would want to buy a dead body? So the value of the body is there as long as the soul is inside the body. So we should concentrate more on the spirit soul than on the body. Of course, Prabhupada doesn't say neglect your body. No, we do need to take care of our material body, because it's the material body that will help us to perform devotional service. And Krishna is there within our hearts, and his form is transcendental. Of course, we cannot compare it with our body or our subtle body or gross body. No. Yes, we are spiritual as far as our spirit soul is concerned, but we are conditioned by material contamination. Being in this material world, we become so conditioned, so contaminated that our consciousness also gets affected. Talking about contamination, a few days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was in a rush to go to the Sprouts market to buy some grocery. And I realized that my car was running out of gas. So there was a Chevron gas station just before Sprouts. And I filled gas over there, went to the Sprouts market, did my grocery. And as I turned around to go back home, my car started jerking. Duduk, duduk, duduk. And I'm like, this has never happened. And you know how we ladies, we freak out, especially on the road, on a busy road with so much traffic, and you go duduk, duduk. People from behind blowing the horns. Immediately I put on the hazard light and started thinking what to do now. And what happened all of a sudden? And all the lights on the dashboard started flashing. Engine problem, transmission problem, rush to the dealer, malfunction, everything. So I just pulled over and I'm thinking, now what do I do? It says go to the dealer and see Krishna's arrangement. Dealer was around the corner. So I drove the car in there And the first question he asked me when I said, these are all the messages, never happened. It's a new car. It's only 3 years old. Never had any problems. First question he asked out of experience, did you fill gas? I said, yes. He says, it's contaminated gas. Figured out just like that. He said, now we'll have to keep your car for 2 days. We have to remove all the gas that you filled in there, clean up the gas tank and the tubes and everything, and fill it with uncontaminated gas. Contamination. Just a little bit of contamination. They found out there was a lot of water in the gas. That's why all these things started happening in the car and started jerking. So the idea I'm giving is about contamination, how contamination can upset the working of a car. What about our bodies, which is like a car? It's a machine. So if this machine gets contaminated, then definitely consciousness is also going to get contaminated. So what's the solution? Solution is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is the process of removing the contamination. Now, verse number 33 in this chapter gives us the formula how to see Krishna and how to see the self. In other words, only when one becomes fully Krishna conscious, which means performing pure devotional service, then one will become self-realized. And then one will understand the difference between gross body, subtle body, soul, spirit soul. Then one will be able to see the self and see Krishna also. Now one may say, how is that possible? How can we perform pure devotional service? Again, we need knowledge, we need guidance, and we need training. And if we approach a bona fide spiritual master, the first thing he's going to say is chant Hare Krishna. Regular practice of chanting. Just knowledge is not sufficient. It is good, but it's not good enough. We need to do some practicals also on a really daily basis, regularly. Then only we'll be able to understand that this material body is just a covering for the soul. It's actually a superficial covering for the soul. And because of ignorance, we start thinking, I am this body. But perfect self-realized position, what is that perfect self-realization position? That is when one has started performing pure devotional service, practicing spirituality with sincerity and seriousness. And that becomes easy when we associate with devotees. We learn from them, we get trained from them, and we start practicing in their association. Now one may say, what exactly is self-realization? It's very evident. Self-realization, which means realizing the self, that I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. Now, when we do that, that means we are not just feeding the body, we are feeding the soul also. Feeding the soul with the prescribed food that has been given to us. What is the prescribed food for the soul? It's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hearing is good, but it is not good enough. We can hear and hear and hear more. We can continue to hear, but if there is no practice, then that is not sufficient. It's only going to remain knowledge. Prabhupada says knowledge plus practice becomes wisdom. So if we want to become wise, we take on the knowledge and then we put it into practice. Basically, I would say we need to come out of the comfort zone. We are so conditioned to being in our comfort zone. Oh, this is all I can do, and this is all I'm going to do. Don't expect me to do anything more. Imagine if our child says, I just want to be in the 5th grade. This is all I like, and this is where I'm going to be for a couple of years. What are the parents going to say? Excuse me? No, you got to go to the 6th grade. Then why not in spirituality? Why do we become so lazy when it comes to spirituality? We need to come out of that comfort zone. We need to start hearing the instructions, taking them seriously. So many times, again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam, always chanting my glories, always chanting. When he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all he said was that Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam. Always chanting, chanting, chanting. So we need to do what we need to do rather than we do what we like to do. So there's a big difference in this. So the spiritual master is there to help us, to guide us, to show us the direction. I know most people are afraid to approach a bona fide spiritual master because they are afraid to give up what they like. It's like a student saying, I don't want to go to the school because the teacher is going to tell me to do this, this, and this, and I don't want to do this, this, and this. No. It is something that is going to benefit us. So we need to decide what we want to do. Do we want to break the cycle of birth and death? Do we want to go back to the spiritual world? If yes, Srimad Bhagavatam is showing us the way how to do that. In Bhagavad Gita, we learn, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivishto. Krishna is there in everyone's heart. But we need to take that first step. And in verse number 34 of this chapter, it says, if the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory. You see? So what is happening that for those who are not self-realized, they are in the clutches of Maya. When we are not in Maya, we can say that yes, we are becoming enriched with knowledge. We are becoming self-realized. And again, we need the mercy of Krishna to be self-realized. All depends on his will. Like it says, not even a blade of grass moves without his permission. We need his will. But based on our actions, Krishna is going to reciprocate with us. Then based on our sincerity, he'll decide whether he should give us his mercy or not. Now, we were talking about those who are in Maya. Maya is also energy of Krishna. She is working on his behalf. So those who are serious about becoming Krishna conscious, it's her job to test them, to see how sincere are they. Let me give them some problem and see an obstacle in their spiritual life and see, are they going to continue or they are going to give it up? You see? So it's one way that she tests. And those who are in Maya, she doesn't need to do anything because they're already in Maya. What is there for her to do? They're already, bewildered, conditioned. So bottom line is that Krishna is always checking on our endeavors, trying to see how serious are we? How sincere are we? How much austerity are we performing as far as devotional service is concerned? And based on our efforts, he is going to reciprocate and help us to become purified. So Maya can bewilder one, or Maya can also lead one to self-realization. But again, the ultimate authority is Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, of course, in this chapter up to the verse number 37, again, there is talk about body and soul, that both Krishna and the spirit soul, they are both transcendental. There is no birth or death for the Supreme Lord or the spirit souls. But there is a difference. Our birth is different from Krishna's appearance in this material world. Right? We all, when we come to this material world, we are bound by the material laws. But when Krishna appears, he is not bound because he is transcendental. Right? So theoretically, it's very easy to understand. I am the spirit soul, body is material, Krishna's body is transcendental. When he appears, it's all transcendental. Theoretically, very fine. But to really understand it deeply, like Prabhupada says in the purport, deeply, we need the grace of Guru and Krishna to understand that. And Srimad Bhagavatam, the verses in Srimad Bhagavatam in each chapter, they give us an opportunity to meditate on Krishna's pastimes, to meditate on his activities which are spotless, which have no faults at all. He is called Rishikesha, who's the master of the senses. And Parashar Muni has explained to us that Krishna is Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulences, Van means possessor of those opulences, the 6 opulences in full. Excuse me, he is the one who creates, maintains, and annihilates. All the universes, everyone, everything gets affected, but Krishna does not get affected. He does not get affected by any of these activities. And he's present in everyone's heart as the Paramatma guiding us. He is a creator, we are the created. He's a master, we are the eternal servants, right? So there we may notice that in this material world, that there are some who create disturbances. But they are the ones who are disturbed because they are creating disturbances. But Krishna, he doesn't get affected by anything. He's a master and he's beyond everything else. But he's so merciful through Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. He's giving us an opportunity to purify ourselves, to become qualified to go back to Godhead. But those who are not intelligent, as Krishna says even in the Bhagavad Gita, avajananti ma mudha. Mudha means foolish. That foolish cannot understand, and they are not, ready, or they don't want to become self-realized. They do not have the knowledge of the transcendental appearance and activities of Krishna. They don't understand at all. They just think Krishna is some historical personality who came 5,000 years ago, or he's an actor in a drama that took place in Mahabharata. But Krishna, he's beyond our thoughts, beyond of what our speech, our mind, everything. It's not possible to understand him just like that. We definitely need the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Otherwise, it'll just be a mental speculation on our part. Oh, I think God is this, or I think that. No. You see? So that's why we also see that there are so many interpretations of Bhagavad Gita, so many opinions which are, published as Bhagavad Gita. But we are not interested in interpretations or mental speculations. We want knowledge as it is. See? And that we can get when we follow the strict disciplic successions, where there are no adjustments, no interpretations, no speculations. We have heard from Srila Prabhupada, we all have 4 defects: imperfect senses, in illusion, make mistakes, and tendency to cheat. So if we are imperfect, how can we give perfect knowledge? Perfect knowledge comes only from the perfect source. Mental speculation, jugglery of words, fruitive activities, all these cannot help us to understand Krishna. All these cannot help us to penetrate into the mysteries of his transcendental appearance and activities. You see, we need to go deeper and deeper into this mystery of Krishna's appearance and activities. Only fortunate, all of us who are today listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, we are very fortunate to have this opportunity. Not everybody is fortunate to get this opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So we need to take it very seriously and progress spiritually. If we are not chanting, we should start chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If we are chanting, and if we are not chanting 16 rounds, then we should start chanting 16 rounds, because that is a prescription. That is required. Chanting 16 rounds every day so that we can get relief from the material disease that we have, which is Maya, which is the conditioning. That is how purification will take place, and we will be able to become self-realized. And what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Manushya Partha Sarvashaha. He says everyone has to follow this path. Either now, we have a choice, now, tomorrow, after a few years, next birth, after many births, whatever it may be. We have to. He says everyone has to follow this path. He doesn't say everyone can follow, or if they like to follow. No, he says has to follow. So if we know that this is the only way, then why not do it now? Why keep it for tomorrow? Like they say, kal kare so aaj kare so ab kar. Whatever you're going to do tomorrow, do it today. Whatever you're going to do today, do it now. We don't want to wait, and we have no assurance that, next life will be a human form. Even if we get the human form, where is the guarantee that we will come across someone who is teaching Bhagavad Gita? Even if we get that opportunity, where is the guarantee we will take it seriously? We may not. So the time is right now. Right now is the time. And we are all very, very, very fortunate that we have this opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to hear about that Krishna is the source of all incarnations, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is what we learned till verse number 37. Next month, we will start with verse number 38. So I'm going to end now. If anyone has any questions or comments.